You know, every now and then I wonder if I come up with an idea and then someone just steals it. A while back, I actually told Asus, I said, you know what would be neat is if I had could do a video talking about the history of ROG, like where it started and where it is today, and that's where we are right now, is in the history cake, if you will, where on the outside is all the new stuff and on the inside is kind of their history. So let's take a quick tour real quick.
Computex 2026 coverage is proudly sponsored by Fantex, with support from Asus ROG, NZXT, Haven, and Cooler Master, helping us bring you wall-to-wall coverage direct from Taipei.
Okay, so we talked about already the Asus Crosshair 2006, which is a throwback to the original colorway, the color schemes of the original Crosshair. And what you can see right here is that original Crosshair. So they've got this on display. You can see where a lot of the design cues for the new one were taken. It's so funny seeing these PCI devices, PCI Express, PCI, seeing even IDE. Coming over here, moving along, so that was 2006. We've obviously got their first ROG gaming notebook, the G1, G2. These things are thick, chunky boys. They're like, I don't know, a good 1.5 inches thick. I can't take it out, it's kind of in there. But talking about graphics cards, the 9800 GT was, in my opinion, never really quite as exciting as like what the 8800 GT, GTX, and the Ultras and such were. But here is, in 2008, their 9800 GT Matrix. It's kind of funny how far we've come if you really think about where graphics cards are today, the kind of cooling and such they needed back then. Now, even back then, this was considered like insane cooling. The amount of cooling, like heat pipes and such that are on here was just kind of unheard of back then. Like really thin surface mounted fans was the only thing you got on GPUs. Here's the original first Rampage 3 Extreme. This was obviously an Intel board. Although the Crosshair was a AMD board, Intel definitely was like meta for all the builds back in this era. So this is obviously the original Rampage. It was triple channel, so that's why you see 6 DIMM slots on here. Obviously you have two DIMMs per channel, so triple channel was really kind of interesting and unique. The Mars. You've heard me talk in the past about how much I miss the old days of like when graphics card companies were allowed to have fun and kind of think outside the box and then just kind of design what they wanted to and have fun with it. So here's the Mars. This is a dual graphics card. I can't remember what in 2009 what the specs were. I believe it was, I don't want to misquote, because one of the first Marses I saw that I got to like see and mess around with was actually dual 760s. So I don't remember what generation this was, but as you can see, it is a dual GPU card. I love the way the cover looks. It's a blower style card. So instead of having dual, two or three fans on it, it pulled air in here and exhausted it all out the back of the case. Their very first ROG Swift panel, 2014. We actually had one of these. Now, see here, if we talk about the Rampage, that's 2010. The Mars here was 2009. The Poseidon 770, now we're getting into like when I started my channel. So this is actually a year after I started the channel. The Poseidon GTX 770. So this was an air-cooled card that was also had a built-in water block. I know it says don't touch, but I gotta turn this so you can see. It's an air-cooled card, but it had a built-in water block as well. So you can water cool it or air cool it. The downside about that was it wasn't great at either. It was like okay at both. So if you had a water-cooled card, it was okay. If you ran the air cooler, it was okay, but there was a lot of compromise there. But again, the Poseidon came out then, and there was the Mars at that time as well, which were dual 760s. Now moving up to the Zephyrus, this was actually the very first Computex year I ever had. 2017 was the first time I came to Computex, and this was actually what was being shown at the time. So the Zephyrus was kind of neat because it opened up, and when you opened up the lid of the screen, a hinge came down in the back that kind of filleted open the back of the case for better cooling. So it was kind of a complicated design. It was a lot of moving pieces. So unfortunately, it didn't have the most like travel-friendly robustness, if you will. But if you were just needed a laptop to use in an office environment at home or whatever, it was a very neat design. Even though, in my opinion, it didn't turn out to be the greatest laptop that they've ever produced, it's important to see companies take risks and take chances to kind of design things. Otherwise, nothing really ever moves forward. So if we move forward here, now the Maximus 11 Hero. This was obviously the first motherboard with AI overclocking. So it's funny that we're seeing the letters AI, but it's not the way you think of AI today, obviously, as we're surrounded by it at the show. This is where it was able to kind of take into account the type of cooler that you have, the CPU that you have installed, the RAM that you have installed, And at the time, the ASUS labs and the ROG labs had hundreds of systems that were running different overclocking features, different overclocking settings, so that you could figure out, or like they could figure out what was safe, and probably had a good reliability to run every day on your system. Now, it wasn't guaranteed, but it went in and basically auto-analyzed your system based on their results and their hundreds of units in their lab doing testing. And these features actually still exist today, and they've really evolved as things have moved forward. So if you ever saw the AI tuner, it started in 2018. So moving forward now, the Ryujin in 2018 was their first AIO. So it really shows how much things have changed, considering back then a 240 AIO was kind of like all you needed to really get the job done. Now 360s are almost like mandatory for any full fledged CPU. And then as we move forward, you'll notice they kind of branch out of components, right? We've got the wireless, the Raptures that came out first in 2022. They got the newer Raptures here today. Obviously peripherals. You got the convertible tablets right here, which is called the ROG Flow, the Z13 tablet. And then now we get into more peripherals and controllers and handhelds and stuff like that. And you'll notice like back then there were bigger gaps between the years when things were kind of coming out. And now we're seeing multiples per year, right? So you had the Harp Ace mouse, obviously we had the Hyperion case, you've got the Xbox controller, the ROG Ally, which is, I think even a newer Ally has come out recently. NUCs, which they have some NUCs that are here on display actually that are running all the way up to mobile 5090s, which is kind of crazy that you can even keep one of those remotely cool in a small compact case like that. Power supplies was a huge thing for them, still is today, even the 20th edition, or the edition 20th, or what is it called? The edition 20, 3,000 watt power supply, which unfortunately in the US, you will never be able to use the full 3,000 watts unless you have a 220 volt system that is custom in your house. Everything in the US runs on 120 volts, so these would probably cap out about 1,600 watts in the US. Not those, but the 20 edition. And as you can see, as we move forward, we move all the way now to 2025, which is everything you know now, which is obviously the new crosshair boards, the Astrals, and then not on display is like the more ROG products, specifically like the Matrix, and then obviously the Edition 20 5090 that's here. So this is pretty neat. I do want to do a video like this where I don't know if ASUS has a vault somewhere where they have old product that they've always kept on hand just to kind of have their own museum, but I would love to show like the entire product stack, like from the very first ASUS graphics card to today, and like every single year, like what that lineup looked like. I don't know if that exists, we'll have to talk to them, but if it does, I think that type of history is always cool, because as much as we know, like ASUS is a premium brand, they have a full product stack, right? They have everything from like the Prime series all the way up obviously to the ROG stuff. They have something that usually fits in everybody's price point. But I see, and obviously on our channel, a lot of like, it's too expensive, no one cares. If you look at the amount of people that are at this booth alone versus even the other guys like MSI, Gigabyte, Aorus and all them, it is insane how busy it is here. It only looks empty around me right now because there's people off camera like shoving people away as we're trying to film. So, I don't know, I feel like you guys say one thing and then reality shows something else. So I'm really curious to see what, how this pans out over time. But anyway, I just thought the history wall was really neat that they put this together just for this event. But like I said, I know about a year ago, I pitched this idea that we should do this. So I'm feeling a little bit off of right now, if you want to know the truth. We're gonna have to have a chat about that. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.